Just want to get your initial reaction to this news as Asian markets wake up. Does this fix things from a crisis of confidence from a market sentiment perspective?
Look, it helps in the short term. If we didn't have this news, I think markets would be under a lot more pressure right now as we trade in Asia and then go into Europe and the US. So that's the good news, that a solution has been found, which of course helps Credit Suisse customers. Flip side, though, is that it doesn't necessarily move contagion risk. Obviously, bondholders in Credit Suisse will have their value wiped out. Shareholders are going to get less than they would have got on Friday if they'd sold their Credit Suisse shares. And so therefore, funding costs for banks, whether it's capital or debt in Europe, will go up. And of course, investors in banks elsewhere will still be somewhat nervous about it all. So it certainly helps, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're out of the woods yet and those contagion risks remain.
Are the jitters made worse by the fact that, these were not banks that were badly capitalised, right? That wasn't a danger when it comes to Credit Suisse. It was a different story entirely when it comes to SFV. So is there a sense that, potentially more could be on the line?
That's true. The story between Credit Suisse on the one hand and the US banks, including SVB, is very different. But by the same token, in part it does reflect a broader issue, which was the tightening in monetary conditions globally, which of course adversely affected very concentrated depositors in SVB and some other US banks, and then of course added to pressure on the already in trouble Credit Suisse. So this is the sort of thing that happens when you tighten monetary policy aggressively and financial conditions tighten. That's the common link in all of this, and that's why it's too early to say that it's over, even though the underlying problems in each of those organisations are different. But I think I'd rather have the strong capital than not. But obviously there've been issues at Credit Suisse for a long time in terms of the loans they made and some losses they'd made, which had led to obviously problems with their customers losing a bit of confidence in an organisation.